जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदनन्दन ब्रज जन रंजन। यशोदनन्दन ब्रज जन रंजन। यमुना तीरावनचारी। यमुना तीरावनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदनन्दन ब्रज जन रंजन। यमुना तीरावनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय राधा माधव श्री राधे। जय गौरनिताय श्री श्री गौरनिताय। जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद्भय चरणारविंद भक्त वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद् भक्त सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की। नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की। षड गोस्वामी प्रभुगण की। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवत पुराण की। समवेत गौर भक्तवृंद की। श्री गुरु और गौरांग की। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। Hare Krishna. We are reading from Canto 2, Chapter 2, and text number 29. The chapter is entitled The Lord in the Heart. Text number 29. घ्राणेन गन्धं रसनेन वैरसं रूपं च दृष्ट्या श्वसनं त्वचैव श्रोत्रेण चोपेत्य नभो गुणत्वं प्राणेन चाकूतिमुपैति योगी घ्राणेन गन्धं रसनेन वैरसं रूपं च दृष्ट्या श्वसनं त्वचैव श्रोत्रेण चोपेत्य नभो गुणत्वं प्राणेन चाकूतिमुपैति योगी घ्राणेन गन्धं रसनेन वैरसं रूपं च दृष्ट्या श्वसनं त्वचैव श्रोत्रेण चोपेत्य नभो गुणत्वं प्राणेन चाकूतिमुपैति योगी। घ्राणेन गन्धं रसनेन वैरसं घ्राण Granena by smelling, Gandham aroma, Rasanena by the taste. Why exactly? Rasam palate, Rupam forms, Cha also, Drishtya by vision, Shvasanam contact, Tvacha touch, Eva as it were, Shrotrena by vibration of the ear, Cha also, Upetya by achieving, Nabhagunatvam identification of ether, Pranena by sense organs, Cha also, Akutim material activities, Upaiti attains, Yogi the devotee. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. The devotee thus surpasses the subtle objects of different senses like aroma by smelling, the palate by tasting, vision by seeing the forms, touch by contacting, the vibrations of the ear by ethereal identification, and the sense organs by material activities. Beyond the sky, there are subtle coverings resembling the elementary coverings of the universes. The gross coverings are a development of partial ingredients of the subtle causes. So the yogi or devotee, along with liquidation of the gross elements, relinquishes the subtle causes like aroma by smelling. The pure spiritual spark, the living entity, thus becomes completely cleansed of all material contamination to become eligible for entrance into the kingdom of God. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. By the blessings of their Lordship Shri Shri Radha Nil Madhav Shri Shri Gaur Nitai, Srila Prabhupada and all the other acharyas, and also Sadayogi Prabhu and all the other senior devotees assembled here. And with the blessings of all the Vaishnavas, I would like to welcome you all for the discussion of Srimad Bhagavatam of second chapter of second canto. most of you are already aware of the context, so I may not have to keep giving a recap. But in essence, the living entity, he's practicing Kramamukti Marga. So while he's practicing the Kramamukti Marga, how he is getting detached from the material coverings, and then how he is going back into Brahman. So that is what is the discussion. The previous verse and this verse are very much connected. So there's a continuation of the previous verse, where in the previous verse it was mentioned that living entity in Kramamukti Marg, if he has any desires to enjoy in this material world, if he, let's say, like Prabhupada would always mention, that if while giving up the body, if you still have a desire to eat gulab jamun, then we may have to again take birth in the material world just to taste that one gulab jamun. And while eating gulab jamun, if we remember one more rasgulla, oh, I think I didn't taste, then that's how the material existence continues. Because just to fulfill one desire, living entity comes, but it doesn't end there. Then he accumulates more and more many material desires. So the living entity perpetuates the material existence in this way. So now the living entity who is about to, he is wanting to give up the material body, and then he is wanting to traverse. But still in his heart, there are some desires which he wants to fulfill. Now, because he is performing yoga, he is not performing karma. So Lord himself arranges for him to facilitate his enjoyment in the material world. So he may go to Swarga, or he may go to Janaloka, Tapaloka, or Maharloka, and there he enjoys as much as he wants, as long as his desire is not fulfilled. He stays. And it is not like where it is mentioned, like if someone goes to Swarga, as long as he has currency, he stays and then he comes back. The currency is of punya. If he has a punya currency in his pocket, as long as that is remaining, he can stay. Kshine punya martya lokam vishanti. But this doesn't happen in the case of this yogi, because he's a yogi, he is not a karmi. So he stays as long as he wants. And after doing all that enjoyment, then he goes to Satyaloka. That is mentioned in previous 2-3 verses. So in Satyaloka, he can stay, and he doesn't have many material desires by this time also. And there is no suffering also, because it is said in Brahmaloka, the only suffering which he has seen is that other living entities are suffering. And seeing their suffering, he suffers. So that means a very pure state of consciousness. And then from there, now it is said he can either stay in that Brahmaloka as long as Brahma lives, and then depart from Brahmaloka when Brahma also departs. That means he can stay as long as Brahma lives. That is or if he wants to depart before only, then he has to pierce all the material coverings of the universe, and then he has to go ahead. So it is said beyond this Satyaloka also, there are many coverings. Some of the devotees would have explained, but I'll again just mention 1 or 2 points. So it is said there are layers of Panchabhuta above, and apart from that, there are subtle coverings also. The Panchabhuta are earth, water, fire, air, and ether. It is said each is of almost 5 billion yojanas in thick, in wide, and width and thickness. So that is the thickness of this earth layer, and the water layer is considered to be 10 times more than this, and the fire is again 10 times of the water layer. Like this, each is of successively 10 times bigger in width and thickness. So the living entity, when he wants to break the shell of the universe and wants to cross over, the shell is very thick of material coverings, and there how he has to cross, it is mentioned
just like I was remembering, we had been to this Akshay Patra sometime before. At that time, when we are entering, it is especially sometimes we are being given some shoes, and we are being given gloves, and we are being given cap, and so that hairs will not fall, and also we are being given one ID. And now each of them are there in counters. So whenever we are going, we take one and then go ahead, and then we do all whatever we are supposed to do, and then while coming back, we will give the ID card, we'll give the cap, and we'll give the gloves, and then we will give our shoes also, and then we return. So while going, whatever we had taken, while coming back, we return all of them and then return. So that means while coming also into the material world, we had taken many of identities in the world. Now while going back, we have to relinquish all of them and go. Just like um, uh, a person who enters an industry, how he while going he takes on many things, and but while coming he returns all of them. And so similarly, we have taken on many material identities, but while coming back, we have to return all of them. So the last thing that we had taken was the earthly body. Now, while giving up, this is the first thing that we'll give it up. So that's how, while crossing the material universe, the first layer which he comes across is the earthly layer. And in earthly layer, it is said he takes on earthly body. And then he enjoys varieties of sensual objects which is available in earthly layer. The earthly layer gives what sense object? Smell. So that's why it is mentioned as Granena Gandham. So first thing that he enjoys in earthly body is Grana. He enjoys the smell. And so after enjoying that, then he gives up that body. And then he goes to the next. Then it is mentioned as water. He acquires a watery body. And there he enjoys taste. So Rasanena Vairasam. And then he acquires a similarly fiery body. And then he experiences Drushtva. And then he acquires airy body. Then he experiences Tvacha, the taste, the touch. So like that, he keeps going ahead. One by one layers he is relinquishing. And the last thing that it is mentioned is Nabho Gunatvam. Then he goes into ethereal body. And there it is mentioned it as, in the previous verse also it was mentioned. Brihadatmalingam. There it is mentioned as Brihadatmalingam. Vayu Atmana Kham Brihadatmalingam. There it is mentioned it as the ethereal, the sense object is sound. There he experiences the sound. That means he experiences the sound incarnation that is Vedas. That means he worships that form of Vedas, and which is as good as the form of the Supreme Lord. So that means, so then he traverses ahead. So that's what is being explained in this this previous verse and this verse. So one thing that is very clearly mentioned is that in this world, we cannot carry anything. So we might have acquired many things, but while going, we have to give up all of that and go. We may think that, oh, what I have acquired so much with so much of hard work. So let me also carry it for my next lifetime. So there was one very wealthy, rich man. He came to once, he wanted to invite some sadhu. So Guru Nanak came into his house. And then he wanted to show Guru Nanak how wealthy he is. And he took him to his treasury house. And there were numerous flags. And each flag was fit into one pocket of 1,000 gold coins. So like that, there were so many numerous flags. And he was telling all of that. He was showing. Sometimes the sadhus also, when they visit house, various the people, they show that we have built such and such, or we have acquired this property, or people try to show their material opulence. But usually sadhus are not interested in seeing material opulence, but they are interested only in giving some enlightened words and wisdom. So Guru Nanak was wanting to teach him some real life lesson, because he has acquired a dead wealth, but which is of not going to come to him for use. So what he did, he had one small needle in his pocket. So the Guru Nanak gives him. So he tells this wealthy man, he says that, please keep this with you, I'll collect later. And then he asks Guru Nanak, so when will you collect it? He said, probably in next lifetime. Then this wealthy man thinks, I don't think I'll be able to identify you in next lifetime, and probably whether I'll be in this place to give you back this needle. So he thinks, I can't carry it till then. I can't carry it till your next lifetime. And then Guru Nanak says to him, you're not able to carry this small needle with you till next lifetime. Then what will you do for all this flax and so many gold coins that you have acquired? And how will you carry all this till your next lifetime? And then this was like a startling wisdom for him. So most of the times we think that we keep acquiring many material things, and all those material things actually become like they keep sticking to our hearts. It is not just they're just there sticking to the body or sticking to our house. They're sticking to our heart, and there is an invisible some string of attachment which develops, and as soon as that object is not visible with us for a moment, immediately the mind keeps running that, oh, I have missed, where is that object, where is that object? Let's say every day we are wearing spectacle. One day what happened, while I was traveling in train, somehow I while I was taking rest, I had taken my spectacle and I put it in the train, sitting on the top of the upper seat. There I had hung my spectacle in the, there was a small bag. I was hanging it. So, but while coming back, I forgot, and I got down. And then later, after getting down, I was remembering, oh, I lost my spectacle. So now, all throughout that day, my only consciousness was, where is my spectacle? Where is my spectacle? Just this one small object that we are going to use for some time. But that creates so much of mental impression, and after that, we can't give it up. So, Sita Devi, so gives a very wonderful in connection to this. She tells one story to Lord Ram. So this is a scene just before entering Dandakaranya forest. So Mother Sita and Lord Ram and Lakshman, they're all entering Dandakaranya, and while entering Dandakaranya, she is seeing that Lord Ram is carrying a huge, very strong bow, and also all the weapons, and also Lakshman. And while Sita Devi sees, her heart is of so much of compassion. She wants to remind Lord Ram very important wisdom. She says, usually when you're entering with this bow in your arms, people can misconstrue and they think you are as an enemy. So because you are appearing as a Kshatriya, and usually there are three addictions which is born of desire. Actually, they can create majorly three anarthas. She says one is a false speech. That means people can speak anything just to get things done. So false speech. And second thing she says is sense pleasures. So people get addicted to sensual pleasures. And the third is cruelty without any enmity. So she says, because you are carrying this bow, and bow is always there with you. So you can shoot any animal or any living entity even without having any enmity. Though you have taken the vow or oath of killing all the demons, especially in this forest. That's why you are entering. But be all Jai Shri Shri Radha Neela Mahadev Bhagwan ki Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki Shri. So there may be a chance by which you may kill animals or you may kill some living entities without any enmity. So that's why be always cautious. So she says one story of from one of the Puranas. She says there was one sage. This sage was he was situated in a Brahman platform. That means he was completely oblivious to the material world. He did not want to possess anything, which Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Na shochati, na kankshati. That means he was not desiring anything and neither he was lamenting if something is lost. That means he was completely situated on Brahma platform. So, and when he was situated in that platform, the entire forest which was surrounding him also was permeating his consciousness. Even the animals would not show enmity to each other. That means even when we are performing our devotional service, our consciousness can get affected, or it can affect the surroundings. So in that sense, so this sage was situated on such a very exalted platform. But Indradeva was always feeling insecure because this person is doing so much of tapasya. At any time, he may come and conquer my seat, my position of being a king of all the demigods. So he was always feeling insecure. So he wanted to somehow break the tapasya of this sage. So naturally, he sends so many apsaras, and when he sent so many apsaras, there was there was so much of pleasurable food, and there was wine, which he was getting. He was thinking that he's going to allure this sage, but the sage was unbroken in his tapasya, and Indra started thinking very seriously what I should do, and then he started making the entire weather very striking, very severe weather, and even that could not disturb the sage. So then really this put Indra into test. So now how he can break this tapasya? So he was using his intelligence. So one fine day, he changed his form. Indra came in the form of a king, and he took his sword, and he came and he told the sage that I am going for a mission. Please keep this with you. I want to keep this sword with you, and you store it, and I'll come and collect it. He was the sage was saying, he was not even bothering. He was not at all paying any attention. But Indra was so much insisting that you please keep this, please keep this. And then finally he begged the sage that if you don't keep, it is a dignity of my race. And then finally he said that I'll just leave it for few days, and then you don't even keep it in your sight. I'll keep it somewhere in your ashram, and I'll go. And then the sage, okay, he did not even say no. And then Indra went and kept it in his ashram, and he left. And then finally, for many days, this king did not return. And then the sage started thinking, this king did not come to collect only. And then finally, he was thinking, probably he has not come, but he may come later to come and claim. And if it is lost, and now I'm responsible. Now I have it under my care. So then he immediately went to the ashram, and he saw whether it is there safe. And he saw that it is there safe and came back. And again he started doing his tapasya. And then after many days passed, and he started again thinking, probably that sword has not got trusted. Now he has given it to me, and it is my duty to protect. So then finally again he went and saw that whether it is rusted or not. And then he saw that it is shining. And again he came back. And again he started doing tapasya. After a few days, he thought, probably it is working well. And it should not happen that I have spoiled it. So, and he'll come and ask. So again, he went and he opened the sword. And then that time he started seeing. He held for the first time that sword. And then it was shining so bright. And then he thought whether it has its sharpness or not. And then he went and cut one plant. And when he cut the plant, it just slid, and the plant it fell. And then he thought he'll again try. And then that time he cut the tree, and the tree also fell off. And he started cutting so many trees. And after that, he saw that there was one snake, which was in previous time, so many snakes were going, so many tigers were there. Earlier, he had no intention of killing. But this time he saw the snake is there, and it is very harmful creature. So immediately he cut the snake also. And over a period of time, he started cutting so many animals. And Sita Devi tells this story to Lord Ram, how this sage who was situated on such an exalted platform, he became addicted to just this one sword, and he started killing. So similarly, you are carrying this weapon of bow, and this bow is there with you, so you should not unnecessarily harm. So, but at the same time, Sita Devi was telling, by the way, you are the Supreme Lord and you know everything. I don't know how to say, but I was just reminding. So she says like that. So the wisdom that she gives is so valuable. That means any material object, just it comes in our vicinity, and we start inherently developing attachment. Even if the object is there just with us for a few minutes, or somebody gives it and goes, that we develop an attachment. If the attachment just to an object which is non-living, if the attachment is so strong, and if the attachment develops with a living entity, with a conscious being, then how much more is that attachment? That means, like usually it is said, with a conscious being, the attachment is two-sided. Now, if we have observed a clip, if we take two clips and if we place one in between another, now the clip gets hooked onto another clip. And even if you want to try to remove one clip, you may press it, but still it will not come, because another clip is actually holding it. So similarly, the attachments with conscious living entities in this world is always double-sided. So that means we develop an attachment, and the attachment of another person also overpowers us. So in that sense, the attachments in this material world is very, very binding. So that's what is told. So here in this case, the attachment is all to material objects, what he's trying to give it up. But the attachments which living entity holds in this heart for other living entities is actually very severe. There are many devotees who would come to Srila Prabhupada, and they would give many different objects. Some devotees would give a ring, and some devotees would give a watch. There was one disciple, he came to Prabhupada, and this was in 1970s. And during 1970s, for the first time, there was a release of Quartz digital watch. And this Quartz digital watch, he thought somehow he should gift this to Prabhupada, because this is the latest release, and the person who had released, he had just released 1,000 watches during that time. And this devotee was not very rich devotee or something. Whatever he had earned, he saved it just to give Prabhupada this watch. And he gifted Prabhupada this Quartz watch. And Prabhupada, when he gifted it to Prabhupada, Prabhupada wore it, and Prabhupada was so happy. And it had a button. If timings have to be seen, they had to click button. And Prabhupada, Prabhupada liked that watch. and Prabhupada would keep clicking the button and he would keep seeing the numbers because it was glowing with quartz stones. So then, and he thought Prabhupada liked this very much, this watch. So Prabhupada will wear it for always. And then after a few days, he came and saw there was no watch on Prabhupada's hands. And he started thinking, he asked, Prabhupada, where is the watch? And then Prabhupada had given it to some other devotee. Because usually when Prabhupada was being gifted with some object or some gift, Prabhupada would accept it as a sign of affection. So Prabhupada would wear it for some time. But after some time, because Prabhupada was not attached to anything, he would gift. Uh, Suppose somebody devotee would come and give one shawl, Prabhupada would give his previous shawl and he would wear new shawl. And somebody would give a ring, Prabhupada would give either if he had another ring, he would give that back to the devotee, or he would give watches. Like that, whatever Prabhupada had, he always gave it away. Prabhupada never hoarded whatever he got as gifts, because it is very important that even as a sadhu, that if we start holding, then we start developing attachment. And sometimes we see our whole locker is filled up with so many gifts. So like that, we start holding attachment to various things. And many times our mind again gets hooked onto it. And always any material object we keep, we also need to maintain it, because we can't keep it just the way it is. So in that sense, it is so vital that we also, while practicing bhakti, it is also important to practice vairagya to some extent, whatever is possible. And because to the extent we practice it, to that extent we will be able to live our life in a very simple way, and also with not too much of carrying load or burden of material attachments. And I'm speaking so many things beyond my adhikar and realization. So, and I also need all of your prayers that I also practice this, where I don't hold on to material objects or commodities, whatever is, or neither hanker for it. Whatever we are being given by natural arrangement. If you see, most of the times in Shastras, the word comes is yadrichaya. Yadrichaya means whatever comes on its own. Labha santushtu. That means whatever we get by the arrangement of our destiny, we should be satisfied with it. We should not hanker for more, or neither try to maintain if it is going away from ours. So, so I also wish to practice this in my life. So I need all of your prayers. Hare Krishna. And I would like to request Satyamurti to add, or other devotees also.
Sita. How in the life of a practicing sadhaka also, some gadgets or some facility comes in his life, and that either that may be the post, that may be gadgets, or some facility, and that becomes a news for him. That is, it looks like a gift of garland, but that same thing, because he's attached to, become cause of his destruction of consciousness and everything. It's Maya enters like a needle, comes out like a plow. It is something while this Krama Mukti, when Jiva is coming out, as you mentioned, you give example of that Akshay Patra going. While just like coming out, we throw all those things in dustbin and come out. uh, while coming in, the Jiva gets all those things. And while going out, one by one, he gives up. He has to give, in the case of Krama Mukti, those fortunate souls. Some are coming in, some are going out. In this way, the material world is always houseful. Because living entities are desireful. Thank you. You were saying.
It is said that he gets a earthly body when he's crossing that earthly layer. Because for crossing that layer, he needs the same body. So at that time, yeah. It is said he gives up that body and again takes on a new body of earthly, and then while after that he gives up that body, he takes on watery body. I will just today I read Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. Yeah. Yes. This is a commentary to previous verse, 28th verse. There he says, then he attains. This is the translation for 28th verse. Then he attains the layer of earth without fear, with a body of earth. Then the layer of water with a body of water. Then the layer of fire with a body of fire. So this is what is the translation. And then later in the commentary, if the yogi desires to stay until the end of Brahma's life, he attains liberation at the time with Brahma. If he desires liberation before that, he pierces the 7 coverings of the universe and then enters Brahman. Now this is described. That means he's piercing. That is being described. First, he attains the first layer of earth, Vishesham. 5 billion yojanas thick, covering the universe, measuring 5 billion yojanas in width. How does he do this? So here, it is mentioned he takes a form of earth. Atmana, it's mentioned. He takes a form of earth. Attaining the other layers should be understood in the same way. Then he attains the layer of water, which is 10 times thicker, with a watery body. That's what is mentioned. Like that, he attains different bodies. That's what is mentioned. Then in connection to this, he attains these various forms, that means bodies, to enjoy the sense objects of each layer. In earth, with an earthly body, he can enjoy the sense object of smell. Like that. You're saying previous translation or today's translation? You're saying a purport or translation? The devotee thus surpasses the subtle objects of different senses. Yeah. Means how does, and that's what is there in the translation. Yeah. So actually, I had what I heard is when Balram Shakti Prabhu was mentioning in this connection, he was saying that he gives up that desire. Because one more thing is, because he is there in Karma Mukti, he may have whatever remnants of those desires. So, or one final go, he enjoys and then he relinquishes. Something like that. So just like because he's in Karma Mukti means he has and it is after that it is no more. so he relinquishes that desire. That's what is meant. So that it is Balram Shakti gave this example of this ID when one is entering, just like he takes on various identities and he enjoys them. After doing that work, he gives up that back and goes. So he gives that the earth. How he gives up the layer of earth is by giving up that smell, that desire for smell, and then he goes ahead. Like that it is. That's what Balram Shakti Prabhu mentioned in Bhaktivedanta Vidyapeetham. And Vishwanath Thakur is mentioning gross body. Huh. Yeah. Gross element along with the desire to enjoy that sense object which is coming from that element. I'll just read the commentary for this verse. He surpasses this is what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying for the 29th verse, this verse. He surpasses the subtle sense objects. He attains fragrance. He attains, he attains the various actions of the action senses. These sense objects reside in the various layers and then they are relinquished. See, Prabhupada is saying, so that yogi or the devotee, along with liquidation of the gross elements, relinquishes the subtle causes, like aroma by smelling. So that means he's giving up. Was this only, Praji, you are mentioning? Surpasses, you meant this only?
By smelling, how can you relinquish earth? And by engaging in the activity will get you more entangled. That's the general understanding. You are mentioning engaging.